because actually, yeah. Okay, so first up, I'd like you to put down the title of my speech, into this loop recorder. Okay, so I want you to press this button on the first word, and then say it again. Press that button. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, good luck. Okay, nice and close. Yeah, there we go.
Human voice is the best synthesizer.
Okay, put it right on the first word.
Human voice is the best synthesizer. Human voice is the best synthesizer.
Okay.
Human voice.
We'll hang on to that. Okay. Give him a hand. Okay. The human voice can make a lot of sounds, far more sounds than any one language needs. For example, the Zulu language of South Africa has and, but it doesn't have yeah? But the Amajara language of Australia has and but it doesn't have s, really. Which might seem strange, but not when you consider the huge palette of sounds that each language has to choose from. It's like the human voice has evolved beyond the needs for communication to meeting the needs of imagination. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. Okay, I started learning drums when I was about 4, and then I took up piano, and then a lot of instruments. Maybe too many, but I love exploring the possibilities of each one. And I've always sung and I've always made silly sounds with my face, like all little kids do, but I just never stopped. And then when I was about 19, I discovered Bobby McFerrin and went, ooh, the voice can be an instrument. And I've started researching how it's used all around the world and working out how it works. It's really the best sound synthesizer there is. So now, I'm going to take you for a guided tour from lip to lung through all the physics, physiology, and frivolity of this, the human voice. Okay, so first, to make sounds you need oscillators, which make vibrations, and you need resonators that amplify and tune those vibrations. Okay, let's look at all our oscillators, all the bits in our face that can flap around. First, there's the lips. They can flap around. They can also flap against your tongue. And there's top lip and bottom lip. And there's also double, like that. Probably didn't realize, no one even knows. Look, this is it in very slow motion. How fun is that? Anyway, so next there's the tip of your tongue, then the uvula, which is what flaps when you snore. You can use that. It's not very nice, but you can use it. And the next few are a little bit hard to see, so I've sent a camera up my nose so we can. Yeah, here we go, through the nasal cavities. And we're heading over the soft palate, we're heading towards the uvula. Oh, there's the spit bubble, through the spit bubble. And there's my tongue. And there we're looking down at the larynx and the vocal folds, which are vibrating together. Let's have a listen to them singing. Yeah, does it sound familiar? Yeah. Okay, so now we can see the ventricular folds, which can vibrate together when you go. It's a bit like when you're strained to lift something. It's that sound. And it's used as throat singing all around the world, from Sardinia to Tibet to Alaska. That style of singing. And it's also used in rock. All those different sounds. Now, you can do it very safely. It's a different part that's vibrating, and you can do it very safely. Now, if you push the back of your tongue back into your mouth, a bit like that, you can eventually push the epiglottis against the ventricular folds so they vibrate like this. You
Ain't that Louis Armstrong? Yeah, that's right, Louis Armstrong. I see trees of green, red roses too. And you can do it with your voice and without your voice.
Exactly. So that's all our oscillators, okay? Oh, actually, there is one other one. When you burp, that one vibrates, but let's not go there. Okay, next. There are different registers, different ways your vocal folds can vibrate. Firstly, there's the speaking one, and then there's falsetto, which is a lighter contact of the vocal folds, but then there's a partial contact of the vocal folds, only part of the vocal folds vibrate, and this has a lot of different names. In fact, it's all very confusing. But you can make these registers overlap, and when you go between other registers into falsetto, it's called yodeling. Yodeling, yodeling, but you can bring those notes together. Yodeling, oh, 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 which is South African, Central African yodeling. And then some pop singers in the 90s, those ones. But then you can bring them even further together onto the same note. Oh, and then you can yodel the wrong way. Oh, oh, and do scales. And then you can actually yodel upside down. Which is a little bit weird. Now, it also can be used to sound a little bit like auto-tune, like, so sad that you're leaving, if you want to. Probably not. Anyway, when you're practicing, you'll be sitting there going, oh, and then the phone rings, it'll be like, hello, hello, hello. Yes, it's Mal, I'm a man. Okay, so you do practice it in private. Okay, so next, I can do all those three registers. I can do them all on one note. I've practiced a lot. So I can go, oh. So that's all three registers. Have a look at this on the inside. So there it is, speech, falsetto, and sit. There it is. And up high. So these two high ones are both called head voice. It's kind of confusing. Anyway, there are other registers. One's called whistle register, which is what Mariah Carey's famous for, those high notes. I can't do that one, so we'll skip over it. Okay. Then there's pulse register, or glottal fry, which is the croaky voice that you all wake up with. Yeah, croaky voice. Yeah, you all know that one. It's good for doing fake didgeridoo, like... like that. Hours of fun. But then, if you do a really open vibration, it's called incomplete closure, but I call it Caveman. You know that one? You could also call it teenager. Oh, Mom. That one. Okay. Thanks. Speaking of caves, let's see this one on the inside. You ready? It's a long way inside. Okay. Now, I've got 7 ways that I can make an octave below my voice. Okay, so I can use all these different parts of my face that can flap. Okay, here we go. That's my lips. Now my tongue. And then my uvula. There it is. And then my epiglottis. There it is. And then my ventricular folds. And then glottal fry. And then the last one, Caveman. There you go. How's that? Alrighty. Now, you can do really, really low vibrations that aren't a note anymore. They're more like a rhythm, like going like that with your tongue, or with your lips, and then with your tongue, and with your uvula, yeah? And if you combine all those, check it out. It really makes your head rattle. So much fun. It's like an internal massage for your head. I use it as a warm-up. So that's all 3 things flapping. Try it at home later. Alrighty. Now, there's vibrato, and I call the 3 kinds of vibrato, I call them throat, gut, and goat. Okay, throat vibrato is the normal oh, where you're wobbling the pitch, oh, but then there's gut, which you're pulsing the airstream like oh, like the Bee Gees, you know. You should be dancing, yeah. So that's gut vibrato. But then there's also goat vibrato, which is like laughing or sobbing, like someday my prince will come, or are you lonesome tonight? You know, so that's goat vibrato. Alrighty. You can also do vibrato with your hands, like or you know, and then you can use it as an articulation, like Bob McFerrin does, like. There's other parts you can articulate with, like, you know, that one, but also, which is always fun. Okay. Now, if you constrict the airstream of your breath, you can make turbulence. And the turbulence can also be an oscillator. So you can make a noise like or sh or but you can also make a note, which is a whistle. And I can whistle with my lips, my tongue, my uvula, but also with my vocal folds. Check this out. So you can do like fake panpipes, like. Oh, there you go. All right. You can also combine whistles with other flappy things in your face, like your tongue or the uvula. Yeah, that sort of thing. But you can also sing at the same time, like. So there's so many variations on whistling. So much fun. Now, let's get on to the resonators. Now, all the air in your mouth and your nose and down into your lungs and the back of your throat, which is called the pharynx, all this air vibrates and resonates to make your vibrations of your voice and other flappy things louder. But it can also change shape and size to change the tonal quality. So the primary tonal quality changer is your larynx. So you can drop it down when you yawn. Oh, g'day, how's it going? So it makes your head bigger. But then you can raise it up, so it makes your head smaller, okay? A good example is Ernie and Bert from Sesame Street. Okay, so Ernie had a high-pitched voice, but he had a low larynx. Hey, Bert, how you doing? Whereas Bert had a low-pitched voice with a high larynx, so it's all squeaky. So there's a good difference between pitch and tone, which is kind of confusing. But when you breathe helium, that doesn't change the pitch of your voice at all. It changes the tone quality in a really extreme way. Next time you're breathing helium, try it. Okay, so next, if you hit your cheek like this, the air in your mouth vibrates. It has a note that it likes, or a resonant frequency. And when you sing, you're not just singing one note. You're singing other little notes at multiples of that frequency that are called harmonics, or overtones, or partials. Now, you don't hear those little notes as notes, you just hear them as tone quality. Coming up, oh, there it is. See those little... So there's little spikes poking up. They're the notes, but you don't hear them as notes. But if you make the shape of your mouth match one of those harmonics, you can make it resonate and amplify it to make it sound like a note. And that's what harmonic singing is. Cool. So that's harmonic singing. And that's the Southeast Asian style. But if you push your tongue further back, like Kermit the Frog, hey, Kermit the Frog here. If you push your tongue further back, you can do the Tuvan or Mongolian style. There it is. And that little growl at the end, you can see the growling coming in at the low frequency. It fills in all the gaps on the harmonics. It's kind of cool. Right. When you sing, you always think of the voice going in the direction of your breath, but it doesn't. Because sound at more than 2,000 kilometers per hour is much faster than the air you're blowing. So, like when you sing, you can feel it in your chest. So the air is actually going down. It's like it can swim up the airstream like a salmon, like a sonic salmon. Anyway. But if you change the direction of your breath, you can get a whole lot of different tone qualities as well, like, which is so much fun, like, you know, there's so much fun sounds you can make on an in-breath. Right, now let's get percussive. If you say the sound like song at the end, you can flap your mouth around and nothing happens. So you can do the evil laugh, you know. Flap your mouth at a time. But it also means you can cluck your tongue at the same time. Like yeah? So that means you can beatbox and hum at the same time. I'll show you. There you go. Cool. Let's get the mic happening. Okay, so now, if you use your voice to make the drum sounds, add your voice to make the drum sounds, you can do sounds like... But if you use more lip buzzers, that's normal beatboxing, like using lip buzzers, so you can do things like... Or maybe some jazz. That sort of thing. But you can also do some like crunchy lo-fi, like... That sort of thing. Try that at home. Yeah. Now, beatboxing is usually taught with sentences. And I've made up a few sentences over the years. The first one is bouncing clouds. So you're whispering the sentence, and then you can suck the clouds in. Cool. And then the next one is to be baffled, to be clever. Yeah. And then syncopated soccer boot. Yeah. And then born to be too puffy, to beat a baboon to poverty. Born to be too puffy, to beat a baboon to poverty. You get the idea. And then the classic, bent imp Shenton. So you can go... Cool. Alrighty. So you might notice when I'm beatboxing, I have the mic in front of my mouth because you want the pops, yeah? But when you're speaking, pops are horrible. You can hear it already. Pops, yucky. So if you move the mic to one side, pop, pop, the pops can go past. And it doesn't change the sound of your voice makes. And also, the sounds out of your nose like and are really important to your voice. So I put the microphone in this corner of my mouth. I call this the Cindy Crawford mole position. Okay? And it really helps you sound like yourself on the mic. It's great. Okay, so now you have it. The voice as an instrument. You play with it. The possibilities are endless, yeah? And you'll never be bored again on trains, in trams, driving. And you're bound to be able to do sounds that I can't do, yeah? Because, you know, we're all different, and yet we're all kind of the same. So let's work.
Human voice is the best synthesizer.
Yeah. Okay, you can hear the melody in that already, so I'm going to make a bit of loop around that using...
Human voice is the best synthesizer.
Here we go.
Human voice is the best synthesizer. The human voice is the best synthesizer. The human voice is the best synthesizer. 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 Human voice is the best synthesizer.
There's no better voice in the world. There's no better synthesizer in the world. I can't think of one. If you tell me, tell me what you think. Could it be a better synthesizer?
Human voice is the best synthesizer.